The NFL offseason is officially underway as we have recapped day one of NFL free agency, find out exactly what the Chargers ended up signing, and of course, who ended up pursuing elsewhere, leaving the Chargers. All of this and more here on Chargers Syndicate. You guys, Jake Silva here on Chargers Syndicate, giving you all of the best Chargers news. If it is your first time ever, I encourage all of you guys to like, subscribe, and hit the bell button for all of your Chargers news needs. Keep you up to date as well for future and past videos here on Chargers Syndicate channel. So guys, day one of the NFL free agency has wrapped up and it is officially open and underway. Lots of different moves, lots of different trades and signings. Absolutely was crazy. But you know what? We got at least the best out of it. And so I'm super stoked and excited for what the next couple of days are going to be for the free agency market. As of course, as you know, the Chargers are trying to basically work a lot out of their deals with, of course, still having money over the cap. But this is where we're going to get into it from here. So the LA Chargers walked in of the free agent market, knowing that they need to fill in 8 positions that they've got currently that is unoccupied. And so for the Chargers, they know that they are establishing the run game. They're also trying to establish secondary run blockers as well when it comes to tight ends and offensive lines. And at the same time, too, they want playmakers. So at this point going into free agency, knowing that they got to basically shed money up into the cap, and also, of course, too, more of the latest rumor news between Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa and so much more started to really pile up. So let's start with the Chargers' recent signings. So the first signing that we basically are breaking down is former Baltimore Ravens running back Gus Edwards. So Gus Edwards ends up signing with the Chargers for 2 years, $7 million, guaranteeing at least 3.5 per year. Gus Edwards, I actually do like this. I think this is a low-key, low under-the-radar move that I think was perfect for the Chargers because initially the Chargers, what they lacked is they lacked situational run play. Gus Edwards, because of his size and because of his cut speeds that he's also was bringing to the Baltimore Ravens and also somebody familiarized with Greg Roman's offense, Gus Edwards, you're going to get the best up out of him as a situational back. What I really like about him is the fact that he can come in any situation, whether it's second, third downs, or even red zone play where the Chargers need at least a rushing touchdown to at least keep the momentum on their side, especially winning a lot of these close games. Gus Edwards fills in the hole, and I honestly do think that with his build and with his size really does work with it. As we look at Gus Edwards' stats from all of his career with the Baltimore Ravens, he was at the very least a very capable runner and somebody who had, broken the threshold of over 100 carries all throughout his career in Baltimore and was very much somebody that was very established when it came to he was a much needed and reliable runner, and that's what he was all about. So Gus Edwards, all throughout it from 2018, he had 137 carries with 718 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, and averaged 5 yards a play, which is super important because the Chargers had been lacking that all last season and at least the season before. So they finally get somebody who at least averages 5 yards a play and somebody that also can be a lethal scorer. In 2023, one of his career bests, he had the most high rushing touchdowns at 13 that he ended up putting up, and was also somebody very reliable that they needed to use him in the red zone and also give him third down conversions because a lot of his percentages is part of the reasons why Baltimore was such a lethal rushing offense. I like the signing. I really do. I do think that he's honestly the most reliable candidate and also one of the most viable pieces that the Chargers could possibly upgrade at. And I love it at least at a discounted deal for at least $3.5 million per year. So that was definitely a really good, solid signing for the Chargers. Now, the second signing that the Chargers ended up doing was former Seattle Seahawks tight end Will Dissly. This was an interesting signing for me, but as soon as I started to kind of think a little bit more about Will Dissly's game, he is somebody that is very much a situational tight end, especially when it comes to the run blocking scheme. By the way, his run blocks was at an 83 percentile, which basically was one of the top best run blocking defending tight ends, especially if an offensive lineman, he gets hurt and can't seem to end up providing extra blocks, whether it's protecting your quarterback or it's allowing extra open holes for your running back to run through. So for Will Dissly, he was very serviceable all throughout his career with the Seattle Seahawks, dating from 2018 all the way to 23. Dissly's numbers were very decent, especially when it came to being an offensive tight end. Now, he was somebody that even Russell Wilson ended up utilizing a few times as well, even when he had to split time with Jimmy Graham. He had to split time with a couple of other players, even Noah Fant. So I think with Will Dissly, he was an under-radar guy, 3 years, $11 million. With, at the very least, that's a discounted, signing that Joe Ortiz really made possible. But the thing with Will Dissly is you look at a lot of his stats, and is somebody that ended up increasingly got more of his targets. But most of his targets was in 2022, where he had 34 receptions for at least 349 receiving yards with 10 yards of play and 3 touchdown scores. So that basically means is as a situational tight end, he knows how to basically get open when in fact a lot of Justin Herbert's, his receiving options are not open. So Will Dissly is definitely serviceable in that category. But at the other side as well, like I mentioned, the 83% run blocking scheme is very valuable, especially if you're bringing in a situational back like Gus Edwards or possibly one of the big backs. And the only person really that's still left standing in the free agent market is Derrick Henry. And I do think that he's a very, very good, strong, capable runner. So that is something that the Chargers really had to focus on. That's the kind of plan that Greg Roman and his offense really instills, is because his run game, very lethal and very efficient. And that is exactly what he wants to prove from here. I think it's a good signing. I think it's pretty solid. I think somebody that, is a bargain deal for 3 years for pretty cheap, I'll take that all day. It's questionable because does this mean that the Chargers, are they or are they not going to end up drafting Brock Bowers, or could they possibly end up drafting Malik Neighbors? But we'll get a little bit down the road from there as we start to get closer up and into the draft after free agency is done. And finally, the last signing, and this is a re-signing that the Chargers ended up doing, was safety Alohi Gilman. I love the fact that the Chargers are bringing back Alohi Gilman at least an affordable price, because with Alohi Gilman, he brings a lot of juice and attitude that this team really does need. And the contract was not even that much. It was only about 2 years, $11 million. I think it was a perfect bargain deal. And here's the thing that makes Alohi Gilman so valuable next to Derwin James. In his career since he's been in the league in 2020, all the way from 22 and 23, he finally started to show his true colors by the time late a little bit in his career, started to get better. And the way that you basically saw it is with the amount of games and his availability that he's played, he had 58 total tackles in 22, where he had 35 of them that were solos and 23 assisted, but he had 1 forced fumble and he recovered 2 of those forced fumbles as well. One of them he did himself. The other basically was done by his other cohort on the defense. But Alohi Gilman basically shows you that he is a cat. When the ball is on the ground and it's a fumble, he is willing to get to it. But he's also somebody that is a lethal force that can push the ball out of somebody's hands. And so that gives them another chance to basically go and get the ball back to the offense. And that's what Alohi Gilman has done. Now, a lot of people kind of think that Alohi Gilman didn't really do much for the Chargers, but I tend to think the other way. I think that he definitely brings that defensive presence where he forces the ball out, goes and recovers it, and allows the offense to get back on the field and allows Justin Herbert to do his thing and get the offense to start scoring more points. I think it was well-deserved, in my opinion, to going and re-signing Alohi Gilman, give him his extension deal, and I think this is perfect at 2 years at $11 million, and I think the Chargers did exactly the right thing, and so I'm excited to see what Alohi Gilman will do in the next 2 years with the Chargers. That's all I got now so far for free agency. We've got a couple more days as well, and hopefully the Chargers will make some big-time noise. Appreciate you guys for checking out this video. Like I said, like, subscribe, hit the bell button, and we'll see you guys on the next video on Charger Syndicate. Jake Silva signing off.